Welcome back, guys. My name is Donna Sharp with Holistic Wellbeing. Thank you so much for joining me here on day 474 of doing these lives. Tonight, we will begin with a continuation of the book that I'm speaking from with Stephen Covey on 3 Steps to a Strong Family. But first of all, I'd like to start by saying that my heart has been out to many of you. I've had you all in prayers. I don't know what your families are going through right now and how you're coping and how you're dealing. There's so many things that can take place in such an event as this. And so I want you to know that I wanted you to know that I'm sincerely praying for all of your family because, we all have to manage from one day to the next. And I just pray that you're just allowing your hearts to go to God and just always look up, never look in front of you, because if you look in front of you, you're going to be disappointed every single time. So I'm going to encourage you to stay encouraged and just try to look at the light at the end of the tunnel. I know it's hard, but like any cloud, there's always sunshine behind that cloud. So keep your heads up. And again, my prayers to your family based on whatever it is that you may be going through right now, whether it's been a loss from this event. A lot of this is in our backyard, and we just never know what someone's going through. So I just want you to know that I'm here and I do care. So just stay vigilant in prayer because that's all we can do at this moment, right? So hi, Demond and Wanda. Thank you so much for joining. So we're going to continue tonight with speaking on how to create strong families, especially how it pertains to managing your children at home. And one of the greatest things that I'm going to speak on tonight is a topic that you're all very familiar with, and I take this very seriously when I speak on that. And it's in regards to understanding the communication that a parent should have with their children, and it's called respect. Respect goes a long way. It goes a very, very long way. And first, what I'd like to do is just define the word respect, because a lot of times we don't understand what the word means and we don't know how to place it in the right context. So respect is basically a feeling of deep admiration for someone or something, elicited by their abilities and qualities or achievements. It's also put this way, it's basically to admire deeply as a result of their abilities. So my question to you is, who is it that's in your circle right now that you have high respect for, high regards for? Typically, when you have respect for someone, you never want to disappoint them. And a disappointment can come in many ways. So I encourage you to just be on your guards as it pertains to what you're saying to people, how you're saying things to them, the things that you're doing to them. A lot of those things need to really be taken into account when it comes to developing that strong relationship and that strong bond. All right. So tonight we're really speaking on a level of children. How favorable are you about children who are very rude? I'm sure you've never seen these before, but I'm going to mention it anyway. You have children that may be rude, obnoxious, and disrespectful. Have you ever seen any children like that? I'm sure you haven't. I'm sure you haven't been around any. But we're just throwing this out as a hypothetical situation tonight. Kids that are rude, obnoxious, disrespectful. I'm sure that doesn't happen in our society, but just in case, I want to speak to that today. So when those 3 items occur, you should basically have them. What Stephen Covey is, what he is recommending is that you have them start over. All right. So when you're speaking with them, and this occurs, you're in the midst of a conversation, you're trying to explain something to them, you're trying to teach them something, just so they can advance themselves into adulthood, and they turn around and they disrespect you. Disrespect can come in many ways. Many ways. They can yell back at you, they can curse, they can walk out of the room. There's many ways that a child can disrespect you. So how do you handle that? How do you deal with that? I'm just curious. Some parent, you believe it or not, everyone's not on the same playing field as it pertains to that. You have some family members who are very strict in understanding that this will not be tolerated. And you have others that, again, they've befriended their children. So now they don't know how to separate the line, draw the line between parent and child, right? So when this occurs, what he's suggesting is have them start over. So for example, disrespect occurs when you may say, hold it. So you're having a conversation and he suggests, well, you may look at them and say, hold it, hold on. let's just start over, okay? Because basically what that means is the conversation was not going exactly where it needed to go. So we're going to back up and we're going to start this again, and we're going to start it the correct way. So if disrespect is in basically in response to a question, you ask and say, well, let me ask again, and you start over. Because sometimes you may feel that whatever it is that you're explaining to them, they understand it, but they really don't understand what you're saying. Okay, so never take for granted that they do. But at the same token, it doesn't warrant the fact that they need to disrespect you in the process. They should ask for understanding by saying, listen, can you just repeat that? Because I'm not understanding what you're asking me to do, or whatever the case is, you know? So, but asking them to start over again is a good thing, because you want to make sure that you're, again, laying the foundation that there has to be a line drawn as to what they can and cannot do, all right? So this time, ask with more respect for your child, say please, and let him have a second chance to answer with respect. And it's basically what I just mentioned. You're giving them another opportunity to see clarity and gain understanding, right? So also start over if a child disrespects the environment by littering, or if he speaks rudely to someone else, or losses crude or unacceptable language, right? You definitely don't want to have any kind of unacceptable language in your setting. If that's what you accept as a parent, my hat's off to you, but I would not encourage that. So I'm going to read this story to you, because as always, they have a little story excerpt in here, so it will just bring some clarity and gain some additional thoughts and insight on what they're thinking, all right? So I'm going to read it verbatim. When I have to do something over again, start over. It's like if you were doing something else, or you are mad and talking mean, you would have to do it again. When I have to do something over, I feel mad and sort of discouraged and furious. Like one time after we did it over and over again, I got really, really furious, so I got in major trouble. But I think that having to do it over again is good, so that I don't get in trouble the first time. It's like you get another chance and you might get out of a bad habit. And when you do it over and over, but you finally get it right, you feel better and everyone feels happier. Also, I threw something on the floor or littered. I would almost sure to have someone in my family say, Eli, start over. So he understood the custom and he prepared himself, but in this particular example, he said that by doing it over and over again, he's mastering the art of getting it right the second time, if you didn't understand it the first time, right? So the example that I just spoke on to this, day by day, children are not allowed to, just as an example, in my household and how I was brought up, I was never allowed to respond in a certain way. And one of the biggest things that gets under my skin, which I was definitely not allowed to do, is when a child answers their parent, what? Okay? You're listening to them call out for their child, and across the room the child is saying, what? Very disrespectful, all right? You definitely want to make sure that a salutation is used. It's either yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, no sir. You know, it's definitely yes mom, just a minute mom, dad. The respect, in many cases, I feel has been lost over the years. And so what typically happens is the child have no kind of expectation. They feel that it's okay for them to just function on the level that they're functioning on, because that's what maybe they've seen out in public or in surroundings based on where they are. So you definitely, again, I go back to saying you want to make sure you draw that line, right? So salutation is super important because it shows that you're respecting your elders. You know, understand that wisdom comes with those individuals that's been in your life for many years, and who are the children to understand otherwise, right? It's made perfectly clear. So respect should be given where it's due, all right? So the downfall, I think, right now is parents are accepting children shouting back disrespectfully. They shout clear across the hall, clear across the store, the restaurant, and the parent doesn't do anything to reprimand them. So what do you think happens? The same thing takes place over and over again, because again, there's There's no groundwork that's been done on creating that foundation to understanding what it takes to have the proper communication between a child and the parent, right? So children get it, as far as my standard is concerned, I feel like children are given too much slack. Uh, they're given a long rope. And of course, I have to say that children develop on a different level. You have some that are more mature than others. There's a thing that I typically can see, and it's when a child they're in this world and they're birthed and they're sent here for a particular purpose. And some of them are just gifted. Some of them are just old souls. They're mature at a faster age than others. So children mature on a different level, so you cannot treat them all the same. All the children have different likes, dislikes, different progression, how quickly they catch on to things and understand where their career should go. And then you have others that it takes them a long while to try to figure that out. So they're developing at different stages of their life at different times. So please keep that in mind as well. All right. But lack of consistency in the parenting models, I think, is something that we're missing. If there's no consistency and you're teaching one message during 1 month and you go the next month and you're doing something totally different with your children, then you're not going to send the right message. So it's very, very important that you're very consistent across the board. Parents are tolerating things versus teaching them things. Tolerating versus teaching. There's a difference. Teach them what it is that you want. But where the breakdown takes place is that a lot of parents, they don't follow up. They teach them all of these standards, but then they don't come back and follow up. So what happens? The child doesn't take the parent serious and they go on doing whatever they feel is necessary based on their standards. So you have to have consistency and follow up when it comes to educating those children, right? So I'm going to take a look at something I wanted to share with you. Let's see here. I want to read this particular section here from his book. It says, "My mind turns back to several years when we had just arrived in England. Joyce, an outspoken young girl who was helping me one day, couldn't help overhearing a conversation between me and my oldest daughter, Serene, who was 6. It was quite a heated conversation, as if it was over and Serene had disappeared. Joyce said to me, why do you let Serene talk to you like that?" "Like what?" I asked, completely amazed that she would think it was peculiar. "Like she did this afternoon when you were having words with her. Americans seem to let their children speak to them in such a dreadful manner." I was shocked, but I've always been grateful to that young lady for the question, because it may have taken me quite some time to realize that Serene really did have a nasty tone in her voice. Having heard it quite often, my ears had become deaf. But in this thinking about it, I decided that Joyce was absolutely right and that things were going to change. "It's all right to ask questions," I told Serene that evening, "but you must remember a certain tone of voice." So you cannot just speak in any tone of voice that you wish because that's how you're feeling at that particular time. That's just not how this works, right? So here's a correction. Still, when children get too near the line, I stop and say, "Are you yelling at me?" Or, "The way you said that makes me feel like you hate me. Is that true?" Hate is a strong word, but he's seeking here for clarification because he's not understanding. The same principle applies with obedience. We parents get so used to giving orders that we don't really expect to be carried out, that children stop hearing us. And we don't even notice whether they've obeyed. So that's basically what I just mentioned. If you're laying the foundation and you're not following up, then what you're going to do is you're going to totally disregard the work that you've put in establishing the foundation that you're trying to lay with your children, right? So just be encouraged, and also just stay consistent as it pertains to developing that boundary line in terms of respect between your children and yourself. You have to also demand respect, because if you're not following through as a parent on the things that you should be doing, it's going to be a little different for you to display to them what they need to do, because your action also needs to display the right things. So that's all I wanted to speak with you guys on tonight, and it's a topic on respect as it pertains to this book. I thank you all for, again, being just so consistent, some of you, in reference to logging on and seeking the information to help improve your current standards of life or just the people around you. But I'm very, very pleased, as always, to be here because every little bit of nugget I feel makes a huge difference in any particular situation. So, guys, if you like what you just heard tonight or you love what you heard, I would just encourage you to please share the information with someone in your group and pass it along. Don't keep it all to yourself. By all means, comment and share your insights because it's always interesting to read them after the live. But I will be back again tomorrow. Outside of that, if you'd like to learn a little bit more about me, please log on to my website. It's holisticwellbeing.com, and it's spelled whole like the whole person. WHOLELISTIC, wellbeing.com. Damon, as always, it's great to see you. Miss Wanda, great to see you. If any of you logged on later on, please type replay in the live, but not only hit replay, please make sure you type replay after you've watched the entire live. And again, you are all in my prayers as far as this current situation. I just encourage you to stay vigilant. I do post some messages on Facebook every day, just giving you some messages of hope and inspiration. Take it whatever way you wish. I just pray that it serves as an encouragement to you as you're going through this particular series of our life. Damon, great to see you. Wanda, great to see you. Thank you all for joining. I'll see you guys back again here tomorrow. Until then, have a fantastic rest of your evening. Ciao.